Welcome back to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm your host, Nichole Eaton, and it's another episode. We have a series. We haven't decided on the name of it. But I'm here with Christy Forsyth. These episodes are getting between 40 and 50,000 downloads per episode. So you're gonna want to hear this. I just feel it in my bones.
Yeah, we're so excited. We get to hang out and have you guys hang out with us. And it's just going to be so much fun. And we're doing this every month, right?
We're doing this every month, and today we're talking about the people, the places, the situations in your life that maybe your soul contracted for. So if you are somebody who has a relationship they just cannot figure out, but you cannot get away from this person, if you have a pattern that just keeps showing up over and over again, this episode is the one you're going to want to listen to figure out and get some perspective on that so that it doesn't take you down with it.
Yeah, we're going to break it all down because the truth is that there are soul contracts. There are things that show up for us, special people, certain experiences that we're meant to have. So we're going to break it all down.
Yeah. And we're going to make it easy for you to understand it and see how it's showing and playing out in your life. So make sure that you subscribe, make sure you leave us a review, and make sure you shoot us a DM and just let us know what you thought about the episode, because we always want to hear from you and we always will take your suggestions of things you want us to talk about. So don't be shy, shoot us a DM.
You know what we should do? We should have them help us to name this, whatever
Mm.
this is that you and I are doing together. Because we don't have a name yet. We'll just be honest, we don't know.
We haven't defined what we are either. We're still
Yeah.
working on that. We're business partners, but we work independently now, but we're still partners in life and
We
life
need to
partners. We're not life
define
partners.
the relationship.
I take it back. We're actually not life partners, but we are soul sisters, and we do love to work together. So yes, help us define our relationship, give us some insight, and make sure to share this with somebody who really needs to hear it. But first, we are doing a little segment in our podcast about the things we're loving this week.
Yes. Should I start?
You have to.
Okay. So this is okay. I had this epiphany this week.
Ready?
And when we have these moments, I always know this is intuition coming through, right? This is my guides, my angels, God, whatever you want to call that. But these moments where it's just everything is so clear. And so I'll be honest, I was feeling a little bad for myself. There were some things that I've been frustrated with. We all have those things that we're trying to create, trying to manifest, and it's just not happening. And so I was meditating on that and got a really clear response. And the response was, you need to work on regulating your nervous system. And I was like, huh, how about that? And I mean, I get that, right? But it was just I don't know, it hit me in a different way this time where I realized, okay, I need to regulate my nervous system. I need to calm down. I need to pull out of this way that more often than I would prefer, I've been operating from fight or flight because that's impacting the vibration that I'm putting out there. That's impacting the magnet that I'm calling things into my experience. And so it became very clear that I needed to make that a bigger priority for myself and to focus on that. But as I was focusing on that, I got a very clear message that I also need to help lead other people through that because other people were needing to do that. So I really, really quickly put together a program inside my membership where I think I called it Manifest and Calm the Fuck Down. I can say fuck here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's 30 days where we're just focusing on together different tools, different strategies, different ideas to help people to begin to regulate our nervous systems. Because when you're operating from that place, you have a higher vibration. Your magnet is going to be pulling in better things, and you just feel better. You're living your life. So my favorite thing this week is a regulated nervous system because already I'm noticing I'm feeling so much different as I'm making that more of a priority. It's always been an important thing to me, but now it's like, okay, this is the priority. This is the focus, and everything else will come together as I focus on this. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I've been loving.
I love that. Okay, so here's what is crazy about that, Christy, is that this month, so every month in my membership, we do a masterclass. And that's the master class this month.
Really?
Yeah. And so like it's just like I always love when I see other people who are in this space like doing similar things because we're gonna all do it in different ways, but because we all like feel the energy of it being a priority. But yeah, I set this up probably 3 months ago. I did this interview with a nervous system specialist, and I have a podcast that I just recorded like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that's gonna come out on this podcast, also on the nervous system. So it's just funny because I was like, that's so aligned with everything. And like that's not really, I don't want to say that's not my go-to, but like I never enjoy breath work. I know a lot of people like really benefit from that and like swear by it. So it's like interesting to learn like the different ways to do it.
Mhm. Definitely. And it feels so good. I've been doing breath work for
Yeah,
a
you
couple of
love that
years
shit.
now,
I
and
know
I'm
you've got
going into it way harder. And I love it. It feels really good. And uh I'm just wanting to show up in this different energy, and I'm already feeling it, and it feels really good, and I just already feel so much more aligned, so it's good. But I think like it's funny that came through for you, right? But this is how it works, is that we tap into the collective, all of us, and what does the collective need right now in order for them to be at their best?
Yeah.
And obviously on some level that's a regulated nervous system. We all need to like calm the fuck down.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking about like we talk a ton about manifesting, and that really is the game changer for your mood. Like mood is energy, mood is frequency. Like we're talking about being on a high vibration. All that means is that you're in a little bit of a better mood or a neutral mood. And so finding the tools and the things and the lessons and the ways to slow down. I know for me, like my big thing is I had the honor of taking a solo trip to the beach, and I got to go to this beautiful, beautiful Airbnb called the Blue Palm. It's an Isle of Palms. I'll put a link in the things because it's just maybe the most beautiful, like an energetically special place that I've been in a while. Um, but I have, as an adult, never taken a trip on my own that was not purely for work. Can you believe that?
Uh-huh.
Like I've just never had a full trip, like, and it's only 2 days, don't get me wrong, but like I've never had a full trip where I didn't have to be responsible for something, somebody, or in consideration. Like even when I travel with a friend for fun, it's still like, okay, what do we want to do? Not just what do I want to do? What am I in the mood for dinner? Like what do I want to spend my time with for the day? And so like just a super exciting thing. And I think like we're talking about nervous system regulation. And I think sometimes as mothers, as business owners, it's super hard to regulate your nervous system when you're go, go, go. The demands on you, the responsibilities stack up. And so yeah, this was a really like special little trip for me. And I think more women, I think I might make a habit out of it and just at least do it once a year just to recalibrate and just zen out.
I mean, I'm still a little butthurt that you didn't invite me, but I'll get over it.
How can I have
Do
a
people
solo
say
trip?
butthurt anymore? I don't think so.
You're bringing it back.
But I'm bringing it back.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
But yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll link the Airbnb because it was just stunning, all brand new, beautiful location right next to the Wild Dunes Resort, which I've been to a couple times. It's just like very like luxury feeling, it's a good vibe. But the other thing that I've been loving lately is when I've been walking on an incline. I am heading to hike in Bryce Canyon in Zion. And in Zion specifically, there are these switchbacks, which don't look like they should be as much of a problem as they are, but it's like incline after incline after incline walk, and it's through altitude. So it's like you can't really catch your breath while you're trying to walk like up really steep hills. So I've been training for that by like just walking on an insane incline at the gym. And I've been like devouring Neville Goddard. Like I don't even know why, but like just like eating it up. And
It's
it
already yours.
oh
That's what
God.
I think of when I think of Neville Goddard. It's already yours. Assume it's
Like
already
and he just really talks about how we're creating in the now. And so you have to let your imagination be stronger than your tie to what's already happened. And I don't know, it's just like a really good reminder while I'm walking in the mornings of like, wait a damn second. And I have to like say, I woke up feeling like a bad bitch. I don't even know. I mean, I'm wearing like a corset to this meeting. You have to see it. Like, I just woke up like I'm the problem. Like I'm that girl, right? I'm that girl today. And I swear to you, it's probably because I've been nonstop programming myself. I don't think Neville Goddard ever says you're a bad bitch, but like he should. Like maybe
He
I'll,
says, you're already a bad bitch. That's what
you're
he said.
already like obviously like end
It already
game.
is.
You're a bad bitch. It already is. So I'm a big person on like programming your mind and like letting it be, letting it be easy, but even sometimes just like letting the outside information come in because we do absorb outside information all the time, but it's being intentional about what the outside information. And I think because it's pretty repetitive and he just says it in different ways, that it's just like locking in me. It's locking. It's locked.
Yeah. It's so funny to think about you on the treadmill, like absolutely dying, but meanwhile, your brain is thriving. It's just like soaking all of the good things in.
I don't even notice I'm dying because I am that bitch. Of course I'm gonna do the 15 incline at a 3.5 speed, like freaking, Richard Simmons upping this hill. Like, I don't know if
But
Rich
seriously, from a brain perspective, that's really gonna like get that in there. When you're getting tired and you get into something that's rhythmic, it puts your brain into that place where it's more open to suggestion. So you are absorbing it all.
Yeah, and like I like to listen to audiobooks and I was listening to this Power of the Subconscious Mind before I started listening to that. And that was great too, but I think it because it's all new information that my brain was working a little harder than having it be like the and honestly, I don't even think these are Neville Goddard entirely. I think it's like AI Neville Goddard's voice that's like similar but I don't care because it's like still really freaking good.
I
Um
think what they do is they take stuff from his books and they use AI and create them. I know because I've been listening to them a ton too. It's so
that's
funny that you're on Neville Goddard right now because me too.
Oh my God. We're high off of Neville Goddard, guys.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, it's really like finding things that resonate with you. Like I have different phases that I go through with the things that I'm like inputting. Sometimes it will be like branding and marketing. Sometimes it will be like I love Amanda Francis's old videos, like just different things. But yeah, I'll get on a kick and that's all I will listen to until further notice. And I always feel like it's whatever I needed to hear. But I started because I just did a money manifestation class in the Comeback Club last month. And I was like, I really just want to like different ways to think about this. So I was just starting to absorb all of it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like all of this is so good. Reality's not real, guys. It's just the past. It's just the past. So we can create the new reality now. And anyway, I'm that bitch. So
Exactly. And that's so that was part of it too. I was connecting with all of that. And it was this idea of, yes, like get yourself to that place of believing it already is, it already exists, and all of these things that Neville has been talking to me about, right? But if I'm constantly putting out this signal that's like, be afraid, it's scary, you're overwhelmed, like you get to a place where that's starting to block some of this other stuff. And it's harder to stay in that mindset of it's already done, I already have it. So it helps to support you that much more once you release that stuff. You turn that signal off essentially.
yeah, I think that there's like time periods where you hammer in on the manifesting and there's times where you hammer in on regulating. And you get to decide like like somebody asked me the other day, like, are you always in like a growth phase? And my answer is no. Like sometimes I'm just in a good place. And when I'm in a good place, like things just flow easy to me and I don't need to push them. And when I'm not in a good place, it's my sign to get back into a good place. Or if I'm ready to get into an even better place and I'm bored with where I'm at, I go to the next level. But like you don't always have to be like in this help healing space. You can float. But when you're ready, like there's tools like nervous system regulation and there's tools like listening to different manifestation techniques that are gonna just take it to the next level.
Definitely. So should we talk about soul contracts now?
Fucking go. I'm
Because
ready.
I love this. So we never know what to talk about, right? So I was at the gym today. also on the treadmill, not at a crazy incline, but I was on the treadmill and I just asked, what should Nichole and I talk about today? And immediately I heard soul contracts. And it makes sense to me because this is a question that I think both of us get questions about a lot. It's hard sometimes, I think, to understand why things happen the way that they do in life, or why we have certain experiences. And some of that I think is just free will, right? That we're all here, we all get to make free will choices. And sometimes those free will choices can impact us in a negative way, or other people's free will choices can impact us in a negative way. But I also really see and believe that we came here with a plan. And the plan was to have certain experiences, was to connect with certain people, and to fulfill, I'm going to say a specific purpose, but I don't really think that any one person has one purpose. I think it's more like to fulfill a life that is filled with purpose, and that purpose can be just that you those things that you feel called to do on any given day to help people or to feel more purposeful. It doesn't have to be that serious. People get really wrapped up in what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I think that it can be many different things, even over the course of just a day. But anyway, I think that a soul contract gives us that opportunity to maybe understand why some of the experiences that we have had, if we
Well,
if we understand that.
I think too, it like activates different parts of us. Like I remember I read, what was that book? Oh my God, I can see it. I think it's like Believe Bigger by Marshawn Daniels Lynch. That's what it is. Thank you. And so I read this book called Believe Bigger, and she talked about how like the hard things that we go through, the challenges, the relationships, the things that we are meant to experience are there to unlock different like levels, right? Different personality traits, different resiliences, different pathways, like, and without them, we don't go down the pathways. We stay comfortable. And so sometimes I think we change on our own because we want to, and sometimes we change because we're backed into a fucking corner and we don't know what else to do, and we have to pull on our reserves to figure that out. And so I'm not saying all soul contracts have to like be hard and challenging, but many of the times that people come to us, it's because they are. It's because they have a relationship. They're like, I feel called to be with this person, but like it's messy and they're not treating me right. Or they keep seeing a pattern. I actually just got off the phone with a girl who she is encountering boundary issues and kind of like absorbing all the responsibility in just about every area of her life. So that's like a soul contract, right? Is like, how do I learn to set the boundary? So we can really look at the things that keep coming up in our lives, the same type of feeling that is provoked by situations or other people or relationships, and ask ourselves, like, what is this trying to show me? Or what is this trying to teach me? Or look back at the things we feel like we have mastered and be like, well, what did that unlock within me?
Yeah, it's Earth is one big school. And
Yeah.
that's there's a reason that we came here. And it wasn't just to sit on the couch and watch Love Island, which by the way, I love and obsessed with, and am feeling like I actually said in my live yesterday, I feel like I need to like set that aside a little bit. I'm feeling that pull, like that's not my focus right now, and I'm getting that, but man, I love it. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. And we came here to grow our soul in certain ways. There were intentions that you had before coming here to help yourself to learn and elevate and to leave this earth having learned those lessons. And we choose those lessons, I believe, before we come here. And people are like, no way. Like, why would I have chosen this for myself? Like, but if you think about it, I want you to think about the opportunities you've had through having those experiences. How has that truly helped you to grow? How has that helped you to become the person that you are today? Like, I think about experiences that I had that were incredibly traumatic, especially earlier in my life. And I pull from the strength that I developed, the lessons that I learned, the understanding of the world that I developed, every single day in not just my work, but in my life, in interacting with people, in just deciding how I want to live my life. It's just like it's so impactful to everything that I am now today. And I wouldn't be who I am. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing had I not had those experiences. And that's a soul contract.
Well, and like I talk so much about like my battle with depression early on, especially after my first daughter was born. And I say like that is why I'm so good at working with people, because I can tell you exactly what's going on in your mind during that darkness. Like I know how to walk you out of it because I know what that looks like. And I feel like for somebody who's never been there, like it's going to be harder for me to walk other people out of it if I've never experienced it, right? I'm just guessing what it might be like, or not being able to relate to, because I can't imagine having thoughts like that. And so, I think that that was inflicted upon me at one point because I needed to know, I needed the experience so I could help other people. And so I find that with a lot of healers, especially like people who feel called to help other people or want to change the world, like that you've had an experience that probably sucked. You've gotten to the other side, or you're actively working to get to the other side so that you can come back for everybody else who's dealing with it and show them how to do it differently. And I think that that's the power move of the century. And I always say like I'm built to help who I was 12 years ago. Always. I'm gonna
Exactly.
speak directly to the version of myself who needed to hear what I have to say now on the other side of it. When I was broke, when I was stuck, when I was in a victim mentality, when I was in unhealthy relationships, like I'm like going to speak to that version of myself in every single thing that I do so that anybody who is in that space, I can pull out.
Absolutely. And you're talking about being able to help people because you've had that experience. And we have special connections, we have soul contracts with people as well. And so there are experiences that you're meant to have, but there's also people that you're meant to connect with. And there's a plan for that. And a lot of you have probably had this experience where you connect with somebody and you're just like, you're exactly who I needed to connect with right now. Whether it's you're going to Nichole and you're working with her and she completely changes the trajectory of your life, that's a soul contract. But it can also be a friendship or a romantic connection. I know for you and me that when it was time for that to come together, not only did our whole relationship just get closer and change, but the things that you inspired in me and that I inspired in you were so necessary for the things that we were creating back when all of that was happening. And again, like the stepping stones to where we're both at now.
Yeah. Well, and like that's like foundational, right? But it like the ways that it comes about where you're connecting with people, like I was just looking for an internship for my master's, right? And so I applied to like 10 different places, and Chrissy's the only one who said yes. And then ended up creating an opportunity for me to work at the agency once I graduated. And then I came into her office and was like, I want to do things differently. And she was on board and we started a business together. And so it's just like the order of events that has to happen in order for us to be where we're at now is actually wild if you think about it, right? You could have had 10 other interns. You could have had anybody else, right? And you did. You had two interns from the same place at the same time, and here's where we are. So I think it's important that you look at and appreciate the people in your life that you just know are an immediate yes. And that's the cool thing, is like your body will tell you if somebody is an immediate yes. And that is like, again, I see that more in friendships than anything else, like personally, even like business stuff. Like I'll meet so many people. And I think that's been the interesting part about moving here, is because I'm constantly meeting new people. I think in New York, I had kind of, you have your like people and then you occasionally meet other people. But here it's like, I know tonight I'm hosting an event in Charlotte, and I know like 10 people out of the 35 that are going to be in the room. So I'm about to meet 20 new people tonight. And my body's going to be like, oh my God, I want to like get to know that person more. Or I like really resonate with them, or I like their energy. And there's people who will be amazing and nice and sweet that I'll never speak to again. And so that's like when we're talking soul contracts, it's people who you're drawn towards, people who might have something to offer you, people you might collaborate with to grow your business, people you might marry, people you might meet and then have them introduce you to somebody else. So like you just never know what the soul contract is, and you don't have to make sense of it and try to figure out the outcome. And I think that's maybe the big part.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you're meant to just flow with it. And how magical and fun is that anyway? To just think about like right now today, I could meet someone who could positively change and impact and influence my life in a way that my life will never be the same for the better. Had I known that when I met you, I mean, because you've made such a huge difference in my life, and clearly we had a big contract, but it's
Yeah.
so exciting to think about the fact that that continues and that we have these plans and that there is a greater plan for us to come together and to teach each other things and to inspire things within one another. And one of the places that I find that that plays out even more so is in romantic relationships. I think that relationships in general, but also romantic relationships, like these are our greatest teachers if we allow them to be. Like, I want you to think about your absolute worst ex that you had. And I try to think about that with gratitude. I have someone in mind. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I went through a lot, but I learned a lot and I grew a lot and I will never be the same. And I'm grateful for the gift that he gave to me because he was an incredible teacher over and over and over again. And we have those people that we learn from, and there's a soul contract for that too. And that particular type of a relationship, I would call that a karmic relationship where somebody comes in, they're meant to teach you a lesson, and then they're meant to hit the road, right? Because thank you, next, that was, I learned something, I've grown, and now I'm going to move forward with my life. And then I think we also have soul connections where there's meant to be more depth to that, where there is, these are like those soul connections where you meet somebody and they just bring positivity and light and inspiration into our lives. Or even those romantic connections where you meet somebody and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm so drawn to you. I'm so connected to you. And this feels really good and really special. I hear that from my clients all the time. They're making those connections. And those connections definitely hit different.
I think the like question that comes down to it, because I don't want anybody to look at a relationship that's unhealthy right now and be like, oh, it's karmic, it's a twin flame. I was supposed to meet this person. I feel it in my soul. And I want to address that because I think that the spiritual community fucks that up hard. And
They
I think,
romanticize the fuck out of it.
yeah,
And
like, oh, I'm meant to be with this person. They're like my person. They're my twin flame. And I think that it's very easy to buy into the idea because it does feel like you're meant to be with that person, or that they feel like home, or that they feel good, or that you're instantly drawn to them. And I think there is something to be said about that. But is it on the side where you need to look at the patterns of behavior and the unhealthiness that's happening, or is it a genuine unconditional loving relationship? And what I'll say is there is no amount of karmic soul contract that should keep you in a relationship where you're being let down all the time, disappointed all the time, coming in second or last all the time, being abused of any kind, being taken advantage of, being used, being disrespected. Like if those things are happening in your relationship, that is not what we're talking about. And I want to be very vocal about that and very clear, just because of the amount of people that I've had that said, this is my twin flame. And I'm looking at it like they're destroying you. That's not what God wants for you. God does not want you in a relationship where you are losing your light and you're not doing your soul's work here on earth because you're losing your light, because you're drained, because you're hyper obsessing and focusing on somebody else. So like, I want to address that because I just think it gets twisted, and I'm not going to be somebody who perpetuates that narrative.
I think that that shifts. I think that people can come in and that can be a powerful connection and you're meant to connect. But remember, I said that everyone has free will choice. And sometimes people don't use their free will choices in the best way. And so it starts to perpetuate a pattern that isn't helpful, or it starts to put you in a position where essentially you're abandoning yourself. And I think that that's when you start to abandon yourself, that's the point where you say, this connection is no longer aligned for me. I don't care how connected it feels. I don't care how that seemed to be this synchronicity that came into your life. And maybe at one point it was meant to be that. It doesn't mean that that takes away from that, but I think as soon as you start to abandon yourself, then this connection is impacting you in a different way and it's no longer meant for your highest and best good. And so we have to look at that. I also think that I gave the example of the relationship that I had. And I know for myself, I found myself caught up in this pattern that really, I think at the end of the day was less about feeling a deep connection and more about trauma bonding
Yeah.
and addiction. And I think that we get addicted to people
Yeah.
and we decide, okay, this means something. I feel this strong energy. I'm so caught up in this. And so that means something. And I think we want to pay attention to the meaning that we're giving to those things. I do think that soul connections exist. I don't know if I believe in a twin flame that someone has to complete you, because I think that we're complete all on our own. And so once we, yeah,
Yeah, I just think like that too. I don't know if I think we're meant to meet a bunch of different people. Like
mhm,
everyone's like, "Oh, I want my soulmate." I'm like, I think that there's probably 40, 50, 60 soulmates that you could encounter in your lifetime. And it depends on the choices you make for yourself. And it depends on how you take care of yourself and the stories you tell yourself about what you get to have and who you are in the world. And I think that that matters of the quality of caliber of quote unquote soulmate that you're going to encounter. So I think that a lot of this work and these soul contracts comes back to you. It comes back to like, is this serving you? Does it feel good to your body, to your nervous system? And how is it amplifying who you are in the world or detracting from it?
definitely. I like to think about it as people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And their free will choices, the way that they honor you, the way that they treat you, is going to determine what that looks like. Because if that's no longer something that is aligned for you, then I think that that allows you with some healing and some willingness to be open to moving forward and refocusing is going to put you in a position where you can make other connections. Because the good news is I do think that we have a lot of soul contracts with a lot of people to connect with a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And so if we let ourselves follow our intuition and be led and pay attention to the actions that somebody is putting out there, that's going to give you a lot of information about where that's at and what you need to do with that.
Yeah, and the other thing with soul contracts, we're talking about relationships primarily because I think that's what comes up in our line of work, but I had a lady who had reached out to me in my comeback club and she was like, how can I believe in any of this stuff? How can I believe in manifesting? How can I believe in God? How can I believe in the power of the universe if I have a child at home that's paralyzed and nonverbal? Like what quality of life, like what manifesting is she going to do if she needs help, with a feeding tube to even eat? And I think that that's like another big question is like, why do these bigger things happen to us, for us, to the people we love?
Yeah. And I think that that some of that stuff is hard to wrap our mind around. And whenever I connect with that, the answer that comes through for me is that this is something that we intended, a way that we intended to grow ourselves. That there are lessons here in this experience that we intended to experience because there are things that we'll learn through that. And that's tough. I think when we're choosing that before we come here, because my sense of it is like there's this process and we're choosing it and we're making sure that that's going to be a good fit and all of that. And so when we're choosing it, we're doing that from a place of non-emotion. we're emotional beings here on earth, but we're not that way outside of earth. And so it's like, oh, that sounds fun. I always see it kind of like when you're starting college and you're choosing your classes. You finally get to choose your classes, and you start to choose them, and it's like, oh, I'd like to learn about this, and I'd like to learn about this, and okay, this is foundational, let me add this. And so you put all of that in, and you're doing that again from a place of non-emotion. So it just all seems like great. That'll be a really amazing way for me to grow my soul.
Yeah, and I mean, think of it even in college, right? You get to a class that absolutely sucks. The teacher sucks. There's no help anywhere. There's no support. You're in a class of 300, like, and it's way harder than you thought it. And finals week comes and you're cramming and you're stressing, right? Like we all have those moments. We all have those experiences that we're stressing about, we're worried about. Things didn't go the way we wanted. We got lesser of a grade. We didn't do very good on that. And so I think that, if you can approach your life a little bit like that of like what are the lessons that maybe I signed up for. And again, I'm never going to be somebody who's like, I know everything and this is exactly how it is. This is just our viewpoint and our vantage point. And I think that the hard things are sometimes unexplainable. And I'm never going to sit here and like claim to know why really awful shit happens in the world. So when you're hearing this, I want to say that in like a very specific way of like, I don't know why bad things happen, but here's what feels true to me is that we do plan for some of it. And our experiences with, like, for example, the woman who I was talking about with the child who, is nonverbal and paralyzed. And, I don't know why that occurred, but I do know that she probably chose you to be her mom, so that she had the love and support that she needs to experience what she's called here to experience. And that you get the how do I, unconditionally love and how do I take care of myself in the process, and you get that lesson. And so I think there's so much value to knowing that sometimes we don't come here for an insanely large, I'm going to be famous and on stage life. And that's okay. I think that's like too, is that everybody, like, right now on social media, we're sold the story that we should all be reaching for the fucking stars, and like finding joy in your day to day is fine too. Finding connection where there wasn't connection is fine too. Taking care of yourself is fine too. Like the little life is okay too.
Yeah, it's all about what you feel led to do in your own life, and you get to make choices. We're talking about soul contracts, but I also want to acknowledge the fact that we all have free will. So there are certain things that we're meant to experience, but we also have this free will to choose for ourselves. How do we want to be spending our time? Who do we want to be connecting with? How do we want to be living this life? Do we want to shoot for the stars, and what stars do we want to shoot for? And we get to choose all of that, and that's exciting. So we have these elements of our life that are destiny, but we also have these elements of our life that we're still writing and determining, and that's where manifestation comes in too. It's being able to identify, what do I want and what do I want to do with these free will choices that I have here, with the circumstances that I find myself in at this particular time. And I think that that's all really beautiful and exciting, because it gives us both this understanding that some of this was determined before we came here, but some of this was also, or is also, something that we get to choose and explore and let be an adventure if we decide to.
Yeah. And that's like the key, right? Is letting your life be an adventure. And I'm a huge fan of zooming out and not taking things super seriously. Like, uh, I don't know. I actually had a conversation with my neighbor the other day who helps coach my daughter's softball team. And he was like, but don't you just like want them to be the best? And like, I'm like, yeah, but I also just want them to have a fucking good time. Like, I want them to look back on their childhood and be like, travel ball didn't ruin my love for the game. It enhanced my confidence in myself for every other area of my life. And he's like, yeah, but like, I just like, at the end of the day, we don't know how long we have, and we have to make the most of it, and we have to begin to look at the situations in our life and making healthy choices for us, for taking care of ourselves, for taking care of our nervous system, for making sure we're allowing the right people, places, and situations in, and taking what we need from the situations that are no longer serving us, and being willing to say, I'm worth more than this, and I know the universe will provide that on the other side.
How magical is all of that? I love it.
That's perfect. Well,
Yeah.
I love these conversations, and like I said, you can help us keep these going by helping us come up with a name. Let us know, DM us, make sure you share this with somebody who needs to hear it, who just needs that perspective shift. And as always, like leaving a review and subscribing is our saving grace for continuing this podcast and continuing to have these conversations where you don't have to pay us a ton of money to sit and have these conversations, right? Like these are for you. And so DM us, let us know what you think, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.